And then I like to kind of reverse engineer ATP synthase. Um, you talked about the electron transport chain, but before that is the TCA cycle, which, if I'm not mistaken, the sunlight will help make it more catabolic because it's also anabolic. And whenever it's not, if it even if it is catabolic, is there a different level of efficiency that it spins at? And if it's slowed down, even though it's catabolic, it can still create bottlenecks because there's a lot of bottlenecks happening within the matrix.
Yes, yes. This entire process is a lot more efficient if you're exposed to the right light and you give it the right fuel in food. And clogs in the system are fake light, toxins, bad food. They're all just making this energy generation process less efficient. And this is a fundamentally much deeper way of looking at disease. It's not just an issue of, oh, it's a heart dysfunction. No, it's an issue with mitochondria and energy generation throughout the body, but it's just manifesting in the heart. uh, Autism is an issue with energy generation throughout the cell, but it's manifesting in brain and brain patterns. So that's the way to think about it, and that's the way you heal the body completely.
We view things downstream and they all look confusing. But if you go upstream to these electrons and protons and so forth, it starts to make a lot more sense. It's just the disease will show up, like the heart disease and so forth, which is might be a good topic to talk about because I want to talk about cholesterol, the shifts in guidelines, and the use of statins. And still, one of the leading causes of death is heart disease and heart attacks, even though everybody's medicated for this.
Cholesterol is probably one of the biggest scams in the history of medicine, if not the biggest scam. In the 1950s, there was an increasing rate of heart disease and heart attacks in the US. All the brightest scientists went out there to try and figure out what the cause was. Then came this researcher by the name of Ansel Keys, and he did a study where he plotted the rate of saturated animal fat intake and heart attacks for 7 countries, and he showed that as there is an increase in rate of eating animal fats, also did the rate of heart disease. This study was like a revelation then, because people thought, oh, we finally discovered what the cause of all these heart attacks is. It's because people are eating too much butter, too much full milk, too much meat, too much fat. Uh, Later, many years later, Keyes admitted that he omitted many countries from his study just so the results fit the model. So he was searching for that answer. And the reason the study became so popular, it was because it was taken up by two important industries. The first one is the vegetable seed oil manufacturers, who made a lot of money making cheap vegetable seed oils from plant seeds that people don't use. And they used the cholesterol hypothesis as a way to convince people that stop eating butter, stop eating lard. Instead, you should just use processed vegetable seed oils. And they made huge amounts of money that way, and they gave money back to all the dietary guideline societies, any researcher that would keep propagating this animal fat is bad idea. Okay, so that was the first people to use that. The second was the cholesterol medication pharmaceutical companies made. So in the 1950s and 60s, there was this, it's called the Framingham study. It was based in Massachusetts. And it was basically like a very healthy community that people, researchers started following to see if there are patterns of which people developed heart disease, which people developed cancer, etc. And the initial results from the 50s and 60s showed that people with high cholesterol were at a higher risk of getting heart attacks. And so again, people jumped on that conclusion, and the processed food industry jumped on it. In the 1970s, statins, drugs which were based on a fungal toxin, fungus made this toxin that they saw lowers cholesterol in rats. So they started using it in people to lower their blood cholesterol. They started pushing this medication as, oh, so if high cholesterol leads to heart disease, then this is the cure. The studies that they used in order to push statins, if you analyze them, like carefully analyze the statistics in them, you see that the results were very exaggerated. There wasn't that much of a benefit from using statins. And all of the myriad side effects that statins cause, these studies just ignore them. Okay? And so all of a sudden, you have statins become the highest selling drug class in history. And it was the first drug in history to be prescribed just based on a blood test. You go to your doctor, they find that your cholesterol is high, now you qualify for medication. So as a business model, it's quite genius, but how much it helps people, not so